Welcome to Awaken Living. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful books ever written, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This book isn't just about psychology. It's about survival, hope, and the deep search for purpose in life. Now, if you haven't heard of Viktor Frankl before, he was an Austrian psychiatrist and neurologist. But more importantly, he was a Holocaust survivor. He spent years in Nazi concentration camps, enduring some of the worst conditions imaginable. While many lost their will to live, Frankl observed that those who had a sense of meaning were more likely to survive. This book is a mix of his personal experiences in the camps and his psychological theory called logotherapy, which teaches that the primary drive in life isn't pleasure or power, it's meaning. So let's break down the key lessons from this book and how you can apply them to your own life. If you're looking for a mindset shift that will help you find meaning even in tough times, stick around. Frankl begins by taking us into the brutal reality of the concentration camps, Auschwitz, Dachau, and others. He describes how prisoners were stripped of everything, possessions, dignity, even their names. Every day was a fight for survival. But Frankl noticed something remarkable. Not all prisoners reacted the same way to suffering. Some gave up, some turned selfish, and others found strength in the smallest things, like a kind word, a memory, or a purpose beyond themselves. He writes about moments where hope seemed impossible. Prisoners who found joy in a sunset despite their misery. A man who stayed alive just to see his daughter again after the war. A woman who found meaning in her suffering by believing she would be reunited with her dead husband in another life. Frankl realized that those who had a reason to live could endure almost anything. This ties into one of the book's most famous quotes. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. This idea became the foundation of logotherapy, the belief that the key to a fulfilling life is not avoiding suffering, but finding meaning in it. Now, let's break this down into real-world applications. How can you use Viktor Frankl's insights to find more meaning in your own life? Instead of asking, "What do I want out of life?" flip the question. Ask, "What is life asking of me right now?" For example, if you're facing a tough time, instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I respond to this challenge in a meaningful way?" This shift in thinking can make even the hardest situations feel more purposeful. Secondly, Frankl identified 3 paths to meaning. The first is work, doing something that matters. Your career or creative pursuits can give you a sense of purpose. It doesn't have to be grand. Helping others, creating something valuable, or simply doing your job with care can be meaningful. The second is love and relationships. Connecting deeply with others brings meaning. Even in pain, love can keep you going. Frankl often thought of his wife while in the camps, and that love gave him the strength to survive. The third is suffering, turning pain into purpose. This one is tough but powerful. If you're going through something hard, instead of seeing it as pointless suffering, frame it as an opportunity for growth. The most self-actualized people in history are those who have gone through and conquered immense suffering. Think about people who turn personal tragedies into missions, survivors who become activists, people who lose a loved one and start foundations in their honor. That's finding meaning in suffering. The third way to find meaning is to accept that pain is unavoidable, but how you respond is up to you. Frankl's story teaches us that we don't always get to choose our circumstances, but we always get to choose our attitude. Lost your job? Instead of falling into despair, use it as a chance to rethink your career. Going through heartbreak? Instead of seeing it as failure, see it as a lesson on love and self-growth. Facing rejection? Instead of letting it define you, let it fuel your next steps. As Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That means no matter what happens, you always have a choice in how you respond. The fourth and most important step is to stop chasing happiness. Aim for meaning instead. Frankl warns against making happiness the goal of life. Instead, he suggests that happiness is a byproduct of meaning. If you focus on meaningful work, meaningful relationships, and growth, happiness will follow naturally. But if you chase happiness directly through money, pleasure, or status, it will always feel just out of reach. So, don't ask, how can I be happy? Ask instead, what can I do that truly matters? To wrap this up, Man's Search for Meaning is a book that changes your perspective on life. It reminds us that, 1, suffering is part of life, but how we respond gives us power. 2, meaning is found in work, love, and even suffering itself. And 3, happiness isn't something you chase. It's something that comes when you live with purpose. If you're feeling lost, stuck, or struggling with hardships, remember Frankl's words. The last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. If you found this valuable, we'd appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more insights. What's your biggest takeaway from Frankl's story? Drop us a line in the comments below.